In Mexico, they fed their enemies alive to tigers, electrocuted them, waterboarded them, and shot them at close range with a .50 caliber machine gun.
They even attacked the city's main airport after a bullet struck an Air Mexico plane. Passengers took cover on board. Authorities eventually had to ground that flight.
His sons have been making the headlines. One particular incident has sent chills across the country as they sent a disturbing letter to the media.
Imagine a world where a drug cartel threatens the might of the US government. Sounds insane, right? But that's exactly what Los Chapitos are doing. These are the sons of the infamous El Chapo, and they're not just playing games.
What were the contents of the letter? Why did El Chapo's sons find it absolutely necessary to send it? And what implications does it have for the United States?
They've openly declared war, vowing to protect their empire at all costs, even if it means taking on the US. With their bold claims and violent history, they're sending shockwaves across both nations. What does this mean for the future? Can they really back up their threats? Let's dive into the chilling world of Los Chapitos and their audacious ambitions.
These are people who gave to a man, watched him die, and then sent that same batch of to the United States. They know that they are poisoning and killing Americans. They just don't care because they make billions of dollars doing it.
Los Chapitos are the sons of the notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, and they've taken over the family business in a big way. Ovidio Guzman, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, and Ivan Archivaldo Guzman now lead the powerful Sinaloa Cartel, one of the most dangerous and influential criminal organizations in the world. After their father's arrest and extradition to the US, these brothers quickly stepped up to continue his legacy and grow the empire even further. El Chapo was one of the most infamous drug lords in history, responsible for building a billion-dollar drug empire. Under his leadership, the Sinaloa Cartel became the most powerful cartel in Mexico. He was known for his ability to smuggle massive amounts of drugs into the US, escape from maximum security prisons, and control entire regions in Mexico through violence and corruption. After his capture, there was a vacuum of power, but it didn't take long for his sons, Los Chapitos, to fill that gap. They inherited not just his criminal empire, but also his enemies, his contacts, and his brutal reputation. Los Chapitos are not just content with maintaining their father's legacy, they are looking to expand it. Their goal is to take the cartel to new heights, growing more ruthless in their tactics. Unlike El Chapo, who focused mainly on drug trafficking, Los Chapitos are pushing further into other illegal activities. This includes extortion, kidnapping, and violent territorial control.
In Mexico, they fed their enemies alive to tigers, electrocuted them, waterboarded them, and shot them at close range with a .50 caliber machine gun.
They have been accused of increasing the violence, especially against rival cartels. Their ambition is clear. They want global influence and dominance in the drug trade. But they don't just want to be known as drug dealers. They want to be feared and respected as a cartel that is not afraid to use brutal force to protect their interests. While El Chapo was primarily known for smuggling drugs, his sons are taking the cartel in a more aggressive direction. Los Chapitos are more violent, more unpredictable, and more determined to hold on to their power. They control key territories in Mexico and have a vast network that stretches beyond the country's borders. What makes them unique is their ability to adapt. They aren't just relying on the old ways of running the cartel, they're evolving with the times, using technology and social media to their advantage. As they expand their operations, they're showing the world that they're not just following in their father's footsteps. They're carving out their own legacy, one marked by ruthless ambition and relentless violence.
However, in a shocking turn of events, Los Chapitos sent a letter to Mexican news outlet Milenio, which was read live on television, where the brothers denied any association with the charges leveled against them.
In recent years, Los Chapitos have made it clear they're not afraid of anyone, not even the US government. These threats have put them on the radar in a big way, as they've publicly declared that they're willing to take on any force that stands in the way of their operations, including American authorities. It's a bold move that reflects just how much power they think they have. Los Chapitos have sent a chilling message to the US. If you come after us, we'll come after you. They've made it clear that they're ready to fight to protect their cartel's operations, no matter who tries to interfere. This isn't just aimed at rivals or Mexican law enforcement. It's directed at the DEA, the FBI, and the US government itself. They've shown that they're willing to go to extreme lengths to keep their empire intact, just as their father did before them.
They even attacked the city's main airport after a bullet struck an Air Mexico plane. Passengers took cover on board. Authorities eventually had to ground that flight.
These threats are more than just words. They're a calculated move to instill fear and assert dominance. Los Chapitos know what happened to their father after he crossed the US, and they're sending a strong message that they won't allow the same fate to befall them without a fight. Why would Los Chapitos make such brazen threats? For them, it's a way to flex their control and intimidate anyone who might think about coming after them. After watching their father spend the rest of his life in a US prison, they're determined to show that they won't go down easily. It's part of their strategy to maintain power, not just in Mexico, but on a global scale.
In the letter, which was delivered by attorney Jose Rodriguez, who represents them and their father, Los Chapitos claimed that they didn't vow to flood the streets of the United States with fentanyl, and that they were victims of persecution and had been made into scapegoats. They even responded to the accusations that they were feeding their enemies to tigers, saying that they had never owned tigers.
Making these threats also serves another purpose. It strengthens their image as untouchable and ruthless. They want people, especially their rivals and US authorities, to believe they're unstoppable. For Los Chapitos, this is more than just business. It's about survival, control, and showing the world that they're not to be messed with. These threats have caught the attention of the US government, especially the DEA and FBI. The US is already heavily involved in combating Mexican cartels, but now the stakes are even higher. If Los Chapitos are serious about targeting American interests, it could lead to heightened security concerns on both sides of the border. This has led to increased pressure to dismantle their operations before things escalate even further. The US has already seen the devastation these cartels can cause. With Los Chapitos making threats, there's growing concern about how far they're willing to go. Could they target US agents, politicians, or even launch attacks on American soil? These questions are making American officials nervous, and it's clear that Los Chapitos are playing a dangerous game. But the big question is, are these threats just bluster, or do Los Chapitos really have the resources to back them up? On one hand, it could be a strategic scare tactic designed to make law enforcement think twice before coming after them. On the other hand, their cartel is powerful, and they've proven time and again that they're willing to use extreme violence to get what they want. Whether or not they can actually follow through on their threats, the fear they've created is real. For now, it remains to be seen if Los Chapitos are bluffing, or if they truly have the means to strike at the heart of the US government. But one thing is certain, they've made themselves a major target, and the US won't be backing down anytime soon. Oido Guzman's arrest was one of the most shocking events in recent Mexican history. Known as one of the key leaders of Los Chapitos, Oido was captured in a dramatic operation in Culiacan, Sinaloa in 2019. What followed is now infamously known as the Culiacanazo. In October 2019, Mexican security forces tracked down Oido Guzman and managed to capture him. At first, it seemed like a massive win in the fight against the Sinaloa cartel. But what happened next turned that victory into chaos. The moment the news broke, Culiacan descended into a war zone. Cartel gunmen flooded the streets, blocking roads with burning vehicles and launching violent attacks against the military and police. For hours, the city was under siege. The cartel's firepower and quick mobilization were overwhelming. Ovidio's rearrest has sparked another set of rumors, this time about potential collaboration with US authorities. Some speculate that Ovidio might be negotiating with the DEA or FBI in an attempt to reduce his sentence. The most interesting part of these rumors? The idea that he might be willing to provide information about his father's longtime associate, El Mayo Zambada. El Mayo, a legendary figure within the Sinaloa cartel, has long been seen as one of the masterminds behind the cartel's success. He's evaded capture for decades, operating in the shadows, while figures like El Chapo took the spotlight. If Ovidio were to hand over details about El Mayo, it could deal a significant blow to the cartel structure. Could Ovidio be planning to trade information about El Mayo and other high-ranking cartel members for leniency? Or is this just another layer of speculation surrounding his capture? Regardless, the rumors have added another layer of intrigue to an already complicated story. If true, it could lead to a major shift in the cartel landscape, not just in Mexico, but across the border in the United States as well. Ovidio's arrest marks a critical point in the ongoing saga of Los Chapitos. His fate, and whether or not he decides to cooperate with authorities, could shape the future of the Sinaloa cartel in ways we can't yet fully understand. The relationship between El Mayo and Los Chapitos, El Chapo's sons, has always been complicated. For a long time, they worked together to keep the Sinaloa cartel at the top of the drug trade. But as Los Chapitos started gaining more power, tensions began to rise. Some say it's a classic case of old guard versus new blood. El Mayo, with his decades of experience, might have been uneasy with how ruthless and flashy Los Chapitos were becoming. There have been rumors that the two sides have clashed over how to run the cartel. Los Chapitos are aggressive and violent, eager to expand their influence globally, while El Mayo is more calculated, preferring to stay out of the public eye. These differences have created a power struggle within the cartel. Some factions are loyal to Los Chapitos, while others continue to support El Mayo, who still has immense respect within the cartel due to his longevity and strategic mind. This tension has led to whispers of a split within the Sinaloa cartel. On one side, you have the loyalists to El Mayo, who prefer his steady, low-key leadership. On the other side are those who support Los Chapitos, seeing them as the future of the cartel. If this split becomes more pronounced, it could weaken the cartel, making it more vulnerable to outside attacks and law enforcement efforts. Internal conflict is something cartels can rarely afford, as it distracts from their main goal, staying in power and making money. Here's where things get really interesting. There are rumors that Oido Guzman, one of Los Chapitos, might be negotiating with the DEA and FBI. And what could he be offering? Information on El Mayo. If these rumors are true, it would be one of the biggest betrayals in cartel history. Oido, who's currently in custody, may be looking for a way to reduce his sentence. And turning over El Mayo, the last untouchable leader, could be his ticket. If Oido were to help bring El Mayo into US custody, it would be a game changer. El Mayo has been the glue holding the Sinaloa cartel together. His arrest or death would leave a power vacuum, likely sparking even more violence as different factions fight for control. It would also mark a significant shift in how cartels operate, showing that even the most powerful leaders aren't safe from betrayal. The idea of Oido handing over El Mayo may seem far-fetched, but in the world of cartels, loyalty only goes so far. If it means saving himself, Oido might see this as his best option. And if El Mayo is betrayed, it would mark the end of an era for the Sinaloa cartel and could lead to a new wave of violence and power struggles across Mexico. While Oido Guzman often gets the spotlight, his brother, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, is just as important in the leadership of Los Chapitos. Joaquin, like his brother, has inherited the responsibilities of running the Sinaloa cartel after their father, El Chapo, was arrested. But unlike Oido, Joaquin tends to stay more in the shadows, making fewer public appearances and keeping a lower profile. There's been growing speculation that Joaquin may be involved in the rumored dealings with US authorities. If Oido is indeed trying to negotiate with the DEA or FBI, it's likely that his brother isn't far behind. The Guzman family operates as a tight unit, and any major decisions, especially one that could reshape the cartel, would probably involve Joaquin. If Oido is planning to hand over El Mayo or work with US law enforcement, Joaquin might be playing a key role in these negotiations behind the scenes.
A 2009 report claimed that the government was helping the Sinaloa cartel take over the Juarez Valley area from the Juarez cartel. Generally, El Mayo worked with the government to reduce competition, while the Sinaloa cartel would become more powerful because of little competition.
The question is, why would Joaquin consider working with the US government? For one, there's the constant fear of arrest. Los Chapitos have been in the crosshairs of both Mexican and American law enforcement for years. With Oido already in custody, Joaquin may see the writing on the wall. Helping out the authorities might be his only chance to avoid a similar fate, or at least buy him some time. There's also the possibility that Los Chapitos are feeling the pressure from within their own ranks. The cartel is facing internal tensions, with factions loyal to El Mayo Zambada, and this power struggle could push Joaquin to seek a way out. If Oido and Joaquin sense that their hold on power is slipping, betraying El Mayo could be their way of weakening a powerful rival and ensuring their own survival. Joaquin might also be motivated by a desire to secure his own safety and protect his family. The world of drug cartels is brutal, and there's always the risk of betrayal from within. By collaborating with the US, Joaquin could be trying to protect himself and his loved ones from the endless cycle of violence and revenge that defines cartel life. In a world where trust is rare, working with the DEA or FBI could be seen as a safer bet than relying on cartel loyalty. While it's impossible to know for sure what Joaquin is planning, the idea that he might join forces with Ovidio in cutting a deal with U.S. authorities is certainly a possibility. If both brothers decide to collaborate, it could change the entire landscape of the Sinaloa cartel and further shake up the balance of power in Mexico's criminal underworld. The idea of Los Chapitos taking on the U.S. government might sound bold, but how realistic is it? Los Chapitos control a massive drug empire with resources, soldiers, and influence stretching across Mexico and beyond. But when you compare that to the full power of the U.S. government, including military strength, intelligence networks, and law enforcement agencies like the DEA and FBI, it's clear who has the upper hand. The cartel may have the money and manpower to cause chaos, but the U.S. has nearly limitless resources. So, with all the threats, power struggles, and looming betrayals, do you think Los Chapitos actually stand a chance against the US government, or is it all just bluster to protect their empire? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth content. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.